So what will happen to convicted serial killer Bryan Kohberger in prison? We know he's been convicted and took the plea for killing the 4 college students. He'll get sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, no appeals, nothing. He's done. Now, before I go into the prison side of everything, because he seemed to have researched every detail, every facet that could possibly be there, except what happened to people like Ted Bundy. And this family is more confused than a billy goat on AstroTurf. I'm for real. Check this out. His sister, Amanda Kohberger, she starred as Laurie in the 2011 low-budget horror movie 2 Days Back. A student hunted, threatened in the woods, character stabbed and hacked or trapped type of college slasher. Director Kevin Boone described her as a lovely woman, nothing weird, and surprised by the family connection. Guess where she works? Of course, she's a school counselor, and she showed up every day in court for her brother. Let's talk about his mom. In 1999, Kohberger's mother wrote against the death penalty in Ted Bundy's case, voicing a strong ethical standpoint. Let's read what she wrote. Brooklyn. Perhaps one of the saddest commentaries of mankind was evident during the execution of Theodore Bundy. While no sane, compassionate individual would excuse the atrocities committed by this man, neither would any sane individual applaud the passing of his funeral hearse. What have we become? Is taking of a human life acceptable when the state takes responsibility for it? Okay. So when your daughter makes a movie about college kids getting murdered, and is glorifying murder, is that okay? And this is what they don't tell you on the news, and why y'all on my channel. Is you see this snake behind me? He tried to be like his heroes, the cowards, just the weak pedophile serial killers. I won't even give them a name. Except they went to trial on purpose because they got off on it. They fed it, and they knew that that shit would live in infamy forever. Yet, when Ted Bundy was in Florida State Prison, they tortured him in the worst ways imaginable before they put him in the electric chair. He forgot to research that part through all his criminology and PhD and his masters. But they also forgot to tell you the danger that women and men also were in because of this piece of shit and all his write-ups and why he was fired as a teacher's assistant. So, before the murders occurred, in the timeline of escalation that I'll get into, Wisconsin State University conducted an internal review in the fall of 2022 after multiple female students reported feeling uncomfortable around Kohberger, describing a sexist attitude towards women according to the university and news reports. Now, women have intuition that are out of this world, and they knew this dude was a creepy motherfucker. And serial killers always project their insecurities, their weaknesses onto women or children because they feel they can overpower them. And they blame them because they're weak cowards that have no self-consciousness or self-respect. Among the other allegations, he was accused of following a female student to her car after class, a claim made by anonymous sources to the New York Times. Now, you see what these schools do? They hide everything from you. All these institutions, prisons, schools, hospitals, police, so on and so on, they hide the fact that this dude was aggravated, stalking a woman. Oh, they just let him keep doing his thing. They just fired him as a teacher's assistant. Come on, if that was anybody down the street from me, they'd be arrested, right in the county jail, stalking, period. Maybe even worse. Just like the Angel of Death and all these other killers from the hospitals, they knew what was going on. They bounce around from hospital to hospital till one of them finally just takes it because they can't hide it anymore. They could have prevented a lot of shit if they would have just did their job, but nobody does anything until they have to. Timeline of escalation and dismissal. August 2022, he began his position as a teacher's assistant in WSU's criminology department. Within weeks, faculty had already flagged behavioral issues. Norms of professional behavior weren't being met. September 23rd to October 3rd, first confrontations reported at least one formal warning or meeting took place. Oh, you mean the stalking, right? October 21st, Professor John Snyder emailed Kohberger noting unsatisfactory progress in both grading and conduct. November 2nd, they set an improvement plan, meeting just 11 days before the Idaho murders occurred. Not doing his job, but we're gonna have an improvement meeting. Man, if this was anywhere else, Target, Walmart, he'd be in jail. You know the college had to throw that in there. He had 100 hours of student interviews, suggesting a wide net of concerns about his behavioral, including alleged creepy staring or odd body language. That coward, snaky look on himself. But he about to find out. Eventually, he'd be arrested for 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. He would take the plea as of June 30th, 2025 for killing Ethan, Zayna, Madison, and Kaylee, all 4 University Idaho students that were sleeping. And obviously, the burglary was for breaking into their home. Intent study was found on his phone. The Google searches showed interest in Ted Bundy. Wow, something familiar like his mother, right? Porn, bikini images of Idaho students. Another reason he probably went after them, because he knew deep in his heart that he can't have anything, because he projects nothing but fear, cowardice, just weak. And look at him. He had a chance to actually be a serial killer and get his 15 minutes of fame, and he got too scared to do that. All while listening to Criminal by Britney Spears. His demonstration of meticulous forensic avoidance, trash cleaning, gloves, driving alone suggests obsessive planning, control, and an awareness of forensic science. The sudden guilty plea, Kohberger agreed to plead guilty to 4 first-degree murders and 1 burglary to avoid the death penalty, 4 consecutive life sentences plus 10 years, no appeals allowed. Change of plea hearing held July 2nd with sentencing expected late July. Some of the victims' families were rightfully so outraged. However, they probably knew it was going to happen. You can never tell anybody they're right or wrong for this, but life in prison for what he did, I'm telling you, is worse than death row, especially now that he won't be hidden in that death row unit. I've seen so many of these thrill kill, super wannabe Ted Bundys. Yeah, they don't tell you about what happened to Ted Bundy in prison, do they? They tortured him every way possible before he was, put in the electric chair. Plus, what they do to these witnesses and other victims is they treat them like criminals. It's horrible. And they have to relive this. And a lot of the family members might pass away during the appeals. Trust me, life in prison is way worse than fighting appeal after appeal for 30, 40 years. Survivor roommate was one of the witnesses who heard cries, saw a masked man with bushy eyebrows exiting through a back door around 4 a.m. And the DoorDash driver, known as MM, delivered to the property at 4 a.m., later spotted parking next to Kohberger's car, expected to testify at the trial. So in prison, I've lived with many of these thrill killers. And where he blew his chance was he wanted to be like Ted Bundy. But Ted Bundy was humiliated, tortured, and everything imaginable was done to him. Then he was put into the electric chair. They don't tell you about that when you do your Google search, does it, Bryan? He was too scared to die. He wasn't scared to sneak into a house and kill 4 innocent kids in the prime of their life. But now he lost that. He lost that trial. He lost that hype. He's just another dude that killed a bunch of innocent people. Except in prison, what I saw happen to these type of dudes is it starts, they put them in some type of CM, not protective custody, but high level, high management, where they're watched. Then they're extorted. First, they start sending them pictures of their home, their family, and their family has to pay up. If they have any fan mail coming in, officers will let them know, and that money will be sent to whoever's running the show over there. And the food will be poisoned. And they'll say, hey, he'll get a kite saying what you just ate has this, this, and that inside of it. If you want it to stop, send money here, send money there. And, there's always those people that are going to put a bounty on him, because you want to be that dude that does the prison justice, whether it's for families, whether it's for yourself, or there's just a hit put on him on the prison compound, or you just want to have some type of infamy on your name as well as taking out the biggest piece of shit. A few years later, if he has any fan people writing him, they're going to have to pay for his protection as well. He's going to get out of his little CM, be put kind of in GP, and they're going to rock him to sleep. They're going to pretend like, oh, yeah, that's so cool, man, come here. And he's really going to be singing that Britney Spears song, Baby, Hit Me One More Time, since he loved Britney so much. He's going to be Bryan Kohberger right there, I promise you. Harry Hilton, whatever you want to call him. Nicholas Minaj. That's going to be his life. Torture, pain, extortion. Weak. Stay out. Stay free. Us.